If you have acne, eczema, dermatitis, hormonal issues like PMS, endo, PCOS, thyroid problems, any respiratory issues, asthma, skin sensitivities, or even if you have children, then this is something you are definitely going to want to watch. And later this week I'll be doing a follow-up video on parabens, which is along the same lines and will really help consolidate some of this for you. Hi everyone, my name's Amy Beth. Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new and if you haven't watched these before. Also, if you're really keen to see my follow-up video later in the week on parabens, then don't forget to hit the notification bell so it will let you know as soon as I upload that video. So I have acne. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you would already know this. I've struggled with it for many years and I'm busy trying to get rid of it. I'm wearing makeup today, so it's not as obvious, but I'm sure if you look really close you will see some of it peeking through. I never thought that I had skin sensitivities. I guess it's sensitive, so they kind of hide off somewhere. But it turns out I'm sensitive to a lot of things, and I discovered this because I have over the years had chronic illness and I have been trying to improve my health, improve my living style as part of that. And I have also been healed of my chronic illness. So during the recovery process, I've done a lot of things differently to try and improve my health and recover quicker. In our homes, we live there, we breathe the air there, we sleep there, we eat there, we have guests there, we raise our children there. If we have children, I don't have children yet, but I'm planning to one day. But often I don't actually spend any time really thinking about the quality of the things I use here and how that might affect my living in my home. So what I'm going to talk about today is a few things that I have changed over the last couple of years and a few healthy habits I've started trying to get into in my home to try and keep it a healthier, happier place. And this will be really helpful if you have any of those issues that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. These things can actually have a pretty huge impact on your overall health and your well-being and the quality of your life in your home. So the first product I'm going to talk about today is washing powder or washing liquid, whatever your preference happens to be. This is something we don't often think about. If you've watched my video on acne, you would know that I have had a lot of acne on my upper arms and my back. Even at times I have had it on my thighs, and there's a lot of reasons for this, but something I discovered that does actually make quite a difference in the irritation level on my skin is actually what kind of washing detergent I'm using on my clothes, because these things are touching our skin like all day long, all night long if you wear pajamas, or if you don't, your bed sheets. And so the chemicals that are in your clothes from the washing detergent that you use can actually get on your skin and can irritate your skin. And I never thought I had skin sensitivities, but it turns out that different things can cause more irritation to something that's already there, even if that was caused by something else. So if you have eczema or dermatitis or acne or any other skin sensitivity, it's definitely worth looking at what you wash your clothes in. A lot of our washing powders and washing liquids are heavily fragranced. They're packed with fillers, which are usually very unknown substances, and they usually have very caustic chemicals to dissolve away the dirts and the stains and all that sort of thing. But those chemicals can be really nasty on your skin because they can leave residue on your clothes. Now, I have used a couple of different things. The one I changed to recently was this one, the Earth Choice Laundry Liquid. I used to use powder, but I found that powder leaves like bits on your clothes because it sometimes just doesn't dissolve properly, and I think that's kind of gross. So liquid doesn't have that problem, and this one is pretty good. It has a very light fragrance, which is nice. Anything with a strong fragrance is not a good idea. They have less ingredients in them, and they have plant-based surfactants, or however you say that, the stuff that dissolves the dirt and the grease and whatever that's in your clothes is plant-based in the ones that I use now. And this one here is the one I'm currently using. It's actually incredibly cheap, and I've been buying this from Aldi, and I wasn't sure how it would go. It has a reasonably strong fragrance as far as fragrances go, but it is a natural fragrance, and it also has very little ingredients in it, which means you're not really getting anything nasty, and it comes in this gigantic 2-litre bottle. It's incredibly cheap, and I'm quite enjoying it. It doesn't seem to be irritating my skin, so that's good. So another product we use a lot in our home is like different surface cleaners for your bathrooms and your bench tops and your tables. And a lot of these things are very similar to the washing powders that you buy. They're heavily fragranced, they're full of chemicals, they often have bleaches in them of some sort to try and keep things white and sparkling. And they're usually full of nasty caustic chemicals that help dissolve all that grease and grime that gets stuck on our bathrooms and our bench tops. And these things, well, some people may not mind using those. I tend to think like I put food sometimes straight onto my bench, like fruits and vegetables. I touch the bench and then I handle food. And if you have kids, your kids are going to be like hanging onto the bench and then putting their hands in their mouth. And it's something to consider. What are they putting into their mouths? And what are you putting onto your food just by putting it on the bench? Now, not too many chemicals actually stay on the bench, but it's something that I've become really aware of in recovering from chronic illness, is to just take care of the little things. So a couple of surface cleaners that I use is my bath and shower cleaner. I use this all through the bathroom. It's also from Aldi. It's relatively natural. It's ammonia and chlorine free, low sodium content. It's mostly plant-based. And the really good part about it is that it's biodegradable, it's healthy for the environment, which means it's not going to have stuff in there that shouldn't be being put back into the environment. And it does a really good job. Sometimes I need something a little bit stronger depending on what I'm trying to clean, but most of the time this is all I need for my bathroom. And I use the exact same brand for my kitchen, but this one's an all-purpose cleaner, and I can use this for all kinds of things. It has a nice fresh eucalyptus scent, and it's the same kind of product, but slightly different smell, slightly different makeup, and it has actual real eucalyptus oil in it, which is a natural disinfectant. And none of these have harsh bleaches in them, which is really good. I don't want to be bleaching everything and leaving that chemical on everything. But the eucalyptus does all of the disinfecting without the nasty chemicals, because eucalyptus, whilst you probably wouldn't want to drink it, it's not going to kill you to ingest a small amount of it. As far as like tough stains, I would sometimes use bleach, but I try and use bleach on only certain problem areas instead of a bleach spray on everything. So if there's like a little bit of mold on my kitchen tiles behind the sink, I will sometimes use bleach to clean that up properly, and same in my shower. But most of the time I'll try and use these cleaners only. And if I have some sort of stain in the kitchen, I usually try and go in with bicarb soda and vinegar first. That will usually get off something that's a bit tougher without having to go straight to the bleach. And bicarb soda and vinegar are both edible, so they're not really a problem. So something else we love to do in our homes is scented candles, and this one smells amazing. I bought this from Dusk with a gift card, and it is just beautiful. And I love scented candles, and most of us do. That, like, having a beautiful fragrance in your home can be so relaxing and so peaceful. But one of the problems with scented candles is that there are a lot of synthetic fragrances in them, and those are created by chemical compounds, and a lot of those are leached into the air when you burn your candle. And so if you're burning scented candles regularly, that can be quite a problem. There have been documentaries on how smelling a lot of scented candles can actually cause health issues and cause you to feel unwell. But we all like a freshly scented home, so a couple of things that I do is you can get these natural reed diffusers. This one is by Plant Essentials, and my sister actually sells these. So this one was a gift, and she gives me a few different things, and I buy some stuff from her. And this one is called Tranquil Home. Now, the thing about essential oils and natural fragrances is that by having them in your home, you can actually pick and choose what fragrances you use, and they will give you different health benefits. So one of my favorite ones at the moment is this lemon eucalyptus, and you have to use a very small amount of this because it is very strong. And I just diffuse it in my little candle diffuser, and this disinfects the air and it leaves a fresh fragrance. So it's also really good if you have sinusy problems, or if you're trying to ward off cold and flu and you don't want to be breathing it in the air. Diffusing essential oils can have huge benefits. All you have to do is look into the benefits of different essential oils and then diffuse the different ones for different problems. So if you're having trouble sleeping, you can diffuse lavender oil. Or if you're having problems with headaches and nausea, you can diffuse peppermint oil. And they leave your home smelling beautiful and fresh. You can even mix different things. Like this Tranquil Home is a mixture of various different fragrances, and it creates this beautiful, fresh, citrusy, florally fragrance. And I really like it, and it has a really soothing effect by smelling it. So another thing we probably don't think a lot about is the air quality in our homes. And particularly in Australia, we use a lot of air conditioning. It gets pretty cold in winter and it gets pretty hot in summer, and air conditioning actually sucks the moisture out of the air, can make the air really dry, which can then dehydrate you. And on top of that, if we're burning candles or diffusing essential oils, keeping our windows shut all the time, using chemical cleaners, we can have a lot of pollution in the air in our homes without even knowing it. And even if there's not a lot of pollution in the air, having stale air in your house all the time or dry air can actually be really detrimental to your health. And so something that I would encourage you to do is to open your windows and doors more often, let the fresh air in to clear out the air in your house. And if you're using air conditioning, you should be diffusing at least water. I like to boil a kettle in the wintertime just on my stove. I will set it to boil and then turn it down to simmer so the steam goes out into the air to try and help keep it just humidified a little, enough to help keep us hydrated. You might know that in wintertime your skin gets really dry, and I would say that most of that is because the air outside is dry and we're drying the air inside out more all the time to try and keep the air warm. We're sucking the moisture out of it, and it sucks moisture out of our skin and out of our bodies and dehydrates us and makes life a little harder to get through. And the other thing you can do to help purify and keep the air in your home clean is to just have a couple of indoor plants, like this little vine, which I've been growing for a while. And there's not much to it yet, but it's getting there. And plants suck toxins out of the air and they release fresh oxygen into the air. They really help to clean the air that we're breathing. So it can be really good to have 1 or 2 indoor plants to help keep the air in your home nice and pure. But the most important thing is to open some doors and windows on a regular basis. Dishwashing liquid is a big one. When we're washing our dishes, whether it's in the dishwasher or if you do it by hand, I hate washing up, but I don't have a dishwasher. So I do most of it by hand, and actually I do all of it by hand. If I don't have a dishwasher, I have to do all of it by hand. But we eat off the things that we're washing and we drink out of them. So any residue that's left on them is going straight into our stomachs. And so that's something that I think is really important to consider. And it's really important to use the best possible dishwashing liquid that you can. And the one I usually use is the same brand as this laundry liquid I had earlier, the Earth Choice one. I actually have a different one at the moment, which I bought from Aldi, and it is a really cheap one. It comes in a really big bottle. And it is grey water safe and phosphate free. It has very little ingredients in it. I mean, it's not really supposed to be junk, but it's relatively healthy and safe as far as dishwashing liquids go. It's probably not quite as good as the Earth Choice one, but it's pretty close and it does the job. So I think it's really important to think carefully about those choices, just to try and minimize the amount of unwanted chemicals that you're pouring into your body or onto your skin or breathing in, because as things enter your bloodstream and they do affect your health over time. So floor cleaners is something else. I love to walk around barefoot because I just like having my feet free. Some people think that's disgusting and they hate it, but it's actually been proven that walking barefoot can help to relieve stress, and it's also really good for your foot muscles and bones to have time to be open and to stretch out and to walk flat on the ground. So I really like doing that as much as possible. And if you have kids or babies especially, they're going to be on the floor a lot. They're going to be picking stuff up off the floor, they're going to be eating stuff off the floor, they're going to be licking the floor. Kids spend a lot of time on the floor. So if you have hard surfaces and you're cleaning them, you may want to consider what you're putting on the floor. I mean, if you walk around barefoot, you don't really want to be ruining that stress-free vibe that you're getting by absorbing chemicals through the soles of your feet. And so I try and minimize the amount of chemicals I'm using. Sometimes I have to add a little bit of bleach to clean some of my tiles if they get really dirty or stained, but most of the time I just try and stick with vinegar, eucalyptus oil, and a bit of dishwashing detergent. Something to get some of those greasy, grimy things off that's not going to be really nasty and that's disinfecting without using nasty chemicals. And it works just fine most of the time. Occasionally I add a tiny touch of bleach, but most of the time I don't worry about it. And I don't have children, but if you have children and they're on the floor, it's definitely worth considering what you're putting on the floor and whether or not it might be long-term affecting their health. When I'm mopping, I usually also try and just towel dry the floor, because that way, if there is any real residue, most of it's going to be picked up on the towel, so that it's not going to be absorbed by our bodies in any way. But it's still worth trying to keep things a little bit safer. You can also go to like Bunnings and Woolworths and buy these big empty spray bottles, and you can mix up your own sprays in here. So this is like a mixture of water, vinegar and eucalyptus, which kills mold. So I use this in the shower and the kitchen sometimes. It kills mold, and the eucalyptus is a nice disinfectant and it leaves a fresh fragrance in there. So that's really helpful. You can mix up whatever you want in these. You can even dilute if you want to use some of those chemical sprays and you don't want to use as much. Try diluting them in these. But there are heaps and heaps of options. Things like you can get orange oil based stain removing sprays. In eucalyptus oil based things, most of those will remove all kinds of grease and stains without too much work. So there's heaps of options, and it's definitely worth considering since you spend so much time in your home and you've got to live in there and breathe in there and sleep there. It's so important that that environment is healthy and safe and relaxing for you, that you don't have to worry about what you're putting in your body and how it might be affecting you. You just want to be at home and be at peace. And to help with that, I would definitely recommend this Tranquil Home. It smells beautiful and it definitely helps me to relax. If you're keen to know where you can buy these plant essentials, essential oils and reed diffusers, just leave a comment and I will get in touch with you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's video, and later this week I'm doing a video on parabens and how they can affect your hormonal health and what you can do to help heal your hormonal problems and your chronic illnesses. So please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can see those next few videos. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week.